When the Los Muertos cartel scouted Thomas Mitchell's ranch, they saw just a simple cattleman. What they didn't realize was that Mitchell had trained K9s for combat operations. Now, as four Belgian Malinois emerged, their quiet reconnaissance turned into a deadly miscalculation. Dawn paints the Sonoran Desert in shades of gold as Thomas Mitchell makes his morning patrol, Havoc moving silently beside him while Rebel and Stryker maintain their positions 200 yards out. The Belgian Malinois movement shows military precision, not random wandering, but a coordinated patrol pattern invisible to untrained eyes. Through his thermal scope, Thomas spots fresh footprints leading across his 500-acre ranch towards the Mexican border. Not migrants seeking work. These tracks show tactical spacing, equipment drops, night movement patterns. Cartel smugglers, getting bolder every week. Havoc's ears suddenly shift. Movement to the east. Thomas doesn't turn, doesn't change his stance. 6 years of combat operations taught him how to receive intelligence without alerting observers. The Belgian Malinois holds position, muscles coiled beneath his seemingly relaxed posture. Through his radio earpiece, Thomas hears his son's voice. "Dad, Stryker's got something at the south fence." Looks professional. "Maintain distance," Thomas responds quietly. "Let me see what Havoc finds." His ranch sits 17 miles from the nearest Border Patrol outpost, a deliberate choice after 4 combat tours left him wanting solitude. But solitude along the border comes with complications. The Los Muertos cartel sees remote ranches as opportunities, territories to control, routes to exploit. Havoc moves with lethal grace toward a ridge overlooking the eastern property line. To anyone watching, he's just a ranch dog checking the perimeter. But Thomas recognizes the combat stance, the tactical approach. Military training never fades, not for handlers or their dogs. Through thermal imaging, he spots them. 3 observers on the Mexican side, using professional-grade equipment to map his property. Not ordinary spotters. These men move with military precision, maintain tactical communication protocols. Movement at the south fence, his son updates through comms. Stryker confirms 4 individuals testing the barrier. Thomas adjusts his course, seemingly casual but tactically sound. 4 Belgian Malinois cost him nearly everything he had after discharge, worth every penny to protect his family on this isolated stretch of borderland. "Maria's status?" he asks into his encrypted radio. His wife's voice comes clear and calm. "Rebels maintaining house perimeter." All quiet, but he's focused south. Thomas allows himself a tight smile. Untrained observers would see a family with well-behaved dogs. They wouldn't recognize combat veterans patrolling in coordinated patterns, wouldn't understand the tactical grid being maintained. Havoc stops, posture shifting subtly, alert but not alarming. Through his scope, Thomas spots fresh cuts in the fence. Professional work, nearly invisible unless you know what to look for. "They crossed last night," he notes into his comms, "using our East Ravine as a transit route." The implications are clear. Los Muertos isn't just passing through anymore. They're establishing a permanent corridor through his property. Havoc's ears prick forward. Another signal. Thomas adjusts his thermal scope, spotting 2 more observers on the Mexican side. These ones carry themselves differently. Military backgrounds based on their movement patterns. Former special forces, now cartel enforcers. "Roberto Diaz," Thomas whispers. The name brings memories from his final deployment. Intelligence briefings about Mexican Special Forces operators gone rogue, joining cartels, bringing tactical expertise to criminal enterprises. Havoc returns to heel position, his movement conveying everything Thomas needs to know. Not just ordinary smugglers. Professional operators conducting tactical reconnaissance. As they return to the ranch house, Thomas watches his family through different eyes. Jenny preparing breakfast, their 13-year-old son Michael checking security cameras, Maria cleaning her rifle. They'd chosen this life together after his discharge. Remote, peaceful, self-sufficient. Now the cartel was changing the equation. "Fresh cuts in 3 sections," he reports, spreading satellite imagery across the kitchen table. "They're mapping our response times, testing our awareness." Michael, already showing his father's tactical mindset, studies the patterns. They're establishing multiple routes, not just transit paths. "Los Muertos is expanding," Thomas confirms. Border Patrol's been pushing them away from populated areas. Now they're adapting, using remote ranches as corridors. Through the window, he watches Havoc coordinate with Rebel and Striker, the dogs establishing a seamless patrol pattern around the property. To uninformed observers, they're just well-trained pets. The cartel won't recognize combat veterans until it's too late. Maria checks her watch. Border Patrol's scheduled patrol is 3 hours out. Should we notify them about the fence cuts? Not yet, Thomas decides, checking his own tactical gear. Let's see if our visitors return first. Give us better intelligence to provide. 4 combat tours taught him patience. The cartel is establishing patterns, building intelligence. Better to let them think they're unobserved. Let them commit to using his ranch before responding. Havoc's ears suddenly prick forward. Vehicle approaching. The Belgian Malinois doesn't bark, doesn't run to investigate. Military training shows in his controlled alertness, his perfect tactical positioning. Through security cameras, Thomas watches a pickup truck stop at their main gate. Not Border Patrol, not neighbors. The driver's posture shows confidence, authority. Cartel representative, coming in the open. Maintain normal routines, he tells his family, checking that his sidearm is concealed but accessible. Let's see what message they're delivering. Havoc takes position beside him as Thomas walks to the gate, the Belgian Malinois moving with deadly grace beneath his seemingly relaxed exterior. Through his peripheral vision, Thomas confirms Rebel and Striker establishing coverage positions, tactical response protocols they perfected in combat zones. Let them come. Some warriors never stop fighting. They just find different territory worth defending. The real war for this borderland ranch is about to begin. Midday heat ripples across the ranch as Thomas studies the visitor through his thermal scope. The man's posture speaks volumes. Military bearing beneath civilian clothes, concealed weapon carried with professional comfort. Beside him, Havoc maintains alert watch, the Belgian Malinois' combat training evident in his controlled stillness. Maintain visual on our perimeter, Thomas speaks quietly into his radio. Michael, keep Striker on South Patrol. Maria, position with Rebel for overwatch. Through security feeds, he watches his family move with practiced efficiency, not the random reactions of civilians, but coordinated tactical response. 4 years of drilling has turned their ranch into an integrated defensive position. The visitor remains in his truck, studying the property with methodical precision. Not casual observation, tactical assessment. Thomas recognizes the technique from his own military days. Mapping approaches, identifying defensive positions, assessing response capabilities. Buenos dias, senor, the man calls out in accented English, finally exiting his vehicle. My name is Alejandro Vega. I represent certain business interests in the region. Havoc shifts position slightly, moving to Thomas's left side. Standard protective formation that gives the dog clear engagement options while appearing non-threatening. Combat lessons learned through 4 deployments. Private property, Thomas responds, maintaining casual posture while assessing tactical details. High-end boots designed for border terrain. Watch position for easy time checks during night operations. Communications earpiece partially concealed by collar. Professional operator, not cartel thug. Of course, Senor Mitchell, Vega smiles without warmth. I merely come with a business proposition. My employers notice this ranch has extensive borders, remote location, ideal for certain shipping arrangements. Through his earpiece, Thomas hears Maria's quiet update. 2 vehicles approaching from the South Ridge, maintaining distance, likely observation only. Tactical coordination. The visitor isn't alone. He's part of a calculated operation. Not interested, Thomas responds, noting how Vega's eyes track Havoc with unexpected caution. This man recognizes more than just a ranch dog. Generous compensation, Vega continues, pulling an envelope from his jacket, for simply not noticing certain activities. Your family would be well protected. The threat beneath the offer hangs in the desert air. Thomas studies Vega's stance, weight balanced for quick movement, hand positioned for smooth weapon draw. This man has combat training. My land, my rules, Thomas replies, watching how Havoc tracks the visitor's subtle movements. The Belgian Malinois remembers similar encounters in combat zones. identifying threats before they materialize. Perhaps you misunderstand the opportunity. Vega's voice hardened slightly. Los Muertos Cartel is establishing new routes. Those who cooperate prosper. Those who resist. His gesture toward the open desert completes the threat. I understand perfectly. Thomas maintains his relaxed posture while Havoc shifts imperceptibly. Combat stance engaged while appearing casual. Not interested. Vega studies the dog with narrowed eyes. Belgian Malinois, military trained. Just good ranch dogs, Thomas responds, but he sees the calculation in Vega's expression. This man recognizes tactical assets when he sees them. 3 of them, yes. Vega glances around the property. Unusual investment for a simple rancher. Through his earpiece, Michael's voice comes urgent but controlled. Dad, movement at south fence. 4 individuals crossing with equipment. Professional pattern. Thomas maintains his focus on Vega, understanding now. This visit isn't just a threat, it's a distraction while another team tests their defenses. Time for you to leave, Thomas states flatly. Havoc shifts stance slightly, combat training engaging while maintaining controlled presence. Vega steps back, noting the change in the dog's posture. Consider our offer, Senor Mitchell. Los Muertos is generous to friends, unforgiving to obstacles. As the visitor returns to his truck, Thomas speaks quietly into his radio. All units, maintain positions. Let the South team commit to the property. Let's see what they're really after. Vega's departure kicks dust across the ranch entrance, but Thomas's attention is already elsewhere. Through thermal imaging, he tracks 4 operators moving with tactical precision across his southern border. Not random smugglers. These men move with coordinated purpose. Stryker has eyes on them, Michael reports with the calm focus Thomas has instilled through years of training. They're placing something along the ravine path. Surveillance equipment most likely, Thomas responds, moving with Havoc toward elevated observation position. Let them finish. We want to know their full capabilities. Through his scope, he watches the cartel team work. Their movement shows professional training, maintaining tactical spacing, establishing surveillance coverage, marking transit routes. This isn't casual smuggling. They're preparing for regular operations. They're leaving markers, Maria observes through her optics, GPS coordinates, route indicators. Thomas recognizes the pattern from his deployments. The cartel is establishing a permanent corridor through his property, laying groundwork for regular transits. Let them complete their mission, he instructs his family. We need to understand their full operational pattern. Havoc's ears suddenly prick forward. Movement to the west. Through thermal imaging, Thomas spots 2 more observers on a distant ridge. This reconnaissance is more extensive than he initially thought. Los Muertos is serious, he notes to Maria as she joins his position. This isn't routine smuggling. They're establishing infrastructure. His wife, former intelligence analyst before retiring to raise their son, studies the cartel team's movement pattern. Military precision. These aren't street criminals. Roberto Diaz's influence, Thomas confirms. He's bringing tactical discipline to their border operations. The cartel team completes their work, retreating south with professional efficiency. They believe themselves unobserved, their surveillance equipment now established along Thomas's ravine. What now? Michael asks, joining his parents at the observation post. Thomas checks his watch, calculating. Now we wait. Let them think their equipment is functional. Let them believe they've established their corridor. Maria understands immediately. Building false confidence. Make them commit resources before they realize what they're really facing. Exactly, Thomas allows himself a tight smile. 4 combat tours taught me one thing. Let your enemy establish their pattern before disrupting it. Through his scope, he watches more cartel vehicles gathering on the Mexican side. Their numbers are growing, their interest in his ranch expanding. They think they're dealing with an isolated family, vulnerable and easily threatened. They'll be back tonight, he predicts, checking Havoc's tactical vest. Testing their new route. Probably small shipment, minimal personnel. And if they come in force? Maria asks, though she already knows the answer. Thomas watches as Rebel and Stryker complete their perimeter patrol, their movement showing years of combat training. Then they'll learn why military working dogs earn combat citations. Let them come. Some warriors never stop fighting. They just find different territory worth defending. The real war for this borderland ranch is about to escalate. Dusk settles over the ranch as Thomas checks his tactical gear. Havoc watching with focused attention. Through thermal imaging, he counts 6 cartel vehicles staging just beyond the Mexican border. Their positioning shows military doctrine, overlapping fields of fire, coordinated observation posts, professional protocols. They're not hiding anymore, Maria notes, cleaning her rifle with practiced efficiency. Former military intelligence before choosing ranch life, her skills never faded. Because they think we're already compromised, Thomas responds, checking ammunition while memory surfaces. Afghanistan, 2017. Taliban forces establishing similar staging areas before major operations. Remember Kandahar, boy? He whispers to Havoc. The Belgian Malinois' ears prick forward. He remembers. 4 days tracking insurgents through mountain terrain, leading Marine units through enemy territory. They'd earned their first combat citation that operation. Stryker confirms movement at South Fence. Michael reports through their secure comms. At 13, he's already showing the tactical awareness Thomas has carefully cultivated. They've disabled their own surveillance equipment, replacing with different tech. Thomas studies satellite imagery spread across the dining table, now converted to Tactical Operations Center. The cartel is establishing multiple routes through his property, not just transit paths, but infrastructure for regular operations. They think we're blind, he notes, checking camera feeds showing cartel scouts testing boundaries. Let them believe it. Meanwhile, show me what Border Patrol sent. Michael pulls up intelligence reports on their secured laptop. Los Muertos has escalated operations across 3 counties. Roberto Diaz is coordinating. Former Mexican Special Forces, now cartel tactical commander. The name triggers another combat memory. Briefing room, forward operating base Echo. Intelligence officers detailing Mexican Special Forces operators gone rogue, bringing military expertise to cartel operations. Not just a smuggler, Thomas confirms, studying Diaz's file. Tactical specialist with counter-surveillance training. He'll recognize our defensive capabilities if we're not careful. Havoc's ears suddenly shift. Movement outside. Through security cameras, Thomas watches rebel alert to perimeter breach. The Belgian Malinois doesn't bark, doesn't charge. Military training shows in his controlled response, his tactical positioning. South Fence, 3 operators, Maria confirms through thermal imaging. Professional movement patterns. They're testing our awareness. Thomas makes quick decision. Let them penetrate 100 yards. We need to understand their operational tactics. Through specialized cameras, they watch the cartel team advance. Not random smugglers, but trained operators maintaining tactical spacing, using terrain for concealment, demonstrating professional discipline. Diaz trained them well, Thomas observes, memory flashing again. Fallujah, 2015. Insurgents showing similar tactical evolution after receiving professional military guidance. Stryker requesting response protocol, Michael reports, monitoring the dog's alert pattern through specialized sensors embedded in his tactical collar. Hold position, Thomas instructs. Let them establish their pattern first. The cartel team moves deeper onto his property, placing markers at strategic points. They're mapping a corridor, establishing infrastructure for regular operations. Their confidence shows in their movement. They believe the ranch's defenses have been neutralized. Havoc, alert status, Thomas whispers. The Belgian Malinois shifts to combat-ready position. Years of battlefield experience engaging. To observers, he still appears calm, but Thomas recognizes the tactical transformation. They're uploading coordinates, Maria notes, monitoring electronic emissions. Her intelligence background proves valuable as she interprets their communications. Establishing rendezvous points, transfer zones. They're planning major operations through our property. Thomas studies the cartel team's equipment through high-powered optics. Military-grade communications, tactical gear, professional weapons. Los Muertos is investing significant resources in this operation. Remember Baghdad? He asks Havoc quietly. The dog's posture shifts slightly. He remembers. Urban combat operations, building clearing, tactical response to superior numbers. They'd written the manual on those operations. Dad, they're pulling back, Michael reports. Completed their survey, heading south. Through thermal imaging, Thomas tracks the cartel team's retreat. Professional withdrawal pattern, maintaining tactical coverage, ensuring no pursuit. These aren't ordinary criminals. They're trained operators establishing military-grade operations. They'll return tonight, he predicts, checking defensive positions. Probably testing their new route with small shipment, building confidence before major operations. Maria reviews satellite imagery showing increased activity on the Mexican side. Border Patrol reports 15-vehicle convoy assembled near Nogales. Heavily armed, military-grade equipment. Diaz is planning something big. Thomas makes final equipment checks while memory surfaces again. Helmand Province, 2016. Taliban forces staging similar buildup before attacking remote outposts. The pattern is identical. Establish surveillance, test defenses, then strike with overwhelming force. They think we're just ranchers, he notes, watching Havoc coordinate with Rebel and Stryker through their specialized training signals. The dogs move with deadly precision, establishing defensive perimeter without appearing threatening. Their mistake, Maria responds, loading magazines with methodical precision. Her intelligence career taught her to recognize threats before they materialized. But Diaz won't underestimate us for long. Thomas studies tactical displays showing cartel movements across the border region. Los Muertos is expanding operations, establishing new routes through remote ranches, applying military doctrine to criminal enterprise. Michael, maintain surveillance, he instructs, moving with Havoc toward prepared positions. Maria, coordinate with Rebel for West Sector coverage. Let's see what they're really planning. Through his scope, he watches increased activity at cartel staging areas. Vehicles arriving, personnel assembling, equipment being distributed. They're preparing major operation, building resources for significant movement. Border Patrol update, Michael reports. Increased chatter about high-value shipment. Coordinates match our property. Thomas checks his watch, calculating timeframes. They'll move after midnight, using our ranch as primary corridor for major transit. And if they come in force, Maria asks, though tactical planning has already covered this scenario. Then they learn why military working dogs earn combat citations. Thomas responds, checking Havoc's tactical vest. The Belgian Malinois watches with focused attention, combat training engaging as equipment is prepared. Night falls over the ranch as defensive preparations complete. Through darkness, Thomas watches his dogs establish patrol patterns invisible to untrained observers. Havoc takes point position, Rebel secures western approach, Stryker maintains overwatch from elevated position. Let them come. Some warriors never stop being hunters. They just find different territory worth protecting. The real war for this borderland ranch is about to begin. Midnight transforms the ranch into a tactical landscape as Thomas monitors cartel movement through his thermal scope. Havoc maintains silent watch position while Rebel and Stryker patrol designated sectors. Through encrypted channels, he counts 12 operators crossing the southern border, their movements showing military precision. Standard tactical formation, Maria observes from her position at the command center. 4-man teams, professional spacing, coordinated advance. These aren't random smugglers. Thomas watches their approach pattern, memory surfacing. Fallujah, 2015. Insurgent teams using similar formation to probe marine positions before main assault. The cartel is following military doctrine precisely. Michael, status on surveillance systems? He asks through secure comms. All systems nominal, his son reports from the hardened communications room. They've disabled the decoy cameras, but haven't detected our secondary network. Tactical decision that's now paying dividends. The cartel thinks they've blinded ranch defenses while actually operating under constant observation. First team approaching South Ravine, Maria updates. Heavy packs, likely product shipment. Second team providing security coverage. Third team establishing perimeter watch. Through his scope, Thomas identifies the security team leader. Movement patterns showing specialized training. Equipment arrangement demonstrating combat experience. Former military, now cartel enforcer. Havoc, alert status, he whispers. The Belgian Malinois shifts to combat-ready position, years of battlefield experience engaging. To observers, he still appears calm, but Thomas recognizes the tactical transformation. The cartel's first team reaches the ravine path, moving with practiced efficiency along route markers they'd placed during daylight reconnaissance. Their confidence shows in their movement. They believe ranch defenses have been compromised. They're establishing transit corridor, Thomas notes, tracking their progress. Testing route for larger operations. Multiple vehicles approaching from south, Michael reports suddenly. Heavy engine signatures, tactical spacing. This isn't just a test run. Thomas adjusts his thermal scope, spotting the vehicle convoy crossing from Mexico. Not just transport vehicles, but armed escorts, tactical positioning, professional security formation. High-value shipment, Maria confirms, monitoring intercepted communications. Diaz himself is coordinating. Memory flashes again. Kandahar, 2017. Taliban commanders personally overseeing critical operations, demonstrating their importance through direct involvement. Change of plans, Thomas communicates to his family. This isn't reconnaissance anymore. They're establishing permanent corridor through our property. Through surveillance feeds, he watches cartel teams secure the transit route, establishing defensive positions, coordinating through professional communications. They're treating this like military operation, applying combat doctrine to smuggling enterprise. Rebel requesting engagement authorization, Maria reports, monitoring the dog's alert patterns through specialized sensors. Negative, Thomas responds. Let them commit fully to the operation. We need comprehensive intelligence. The main convoy reaches ranch boundaries, moving with tactical discipline along secured route. Thomas counts 8 vehicles, transport trucks flanked by armed escorts. Los Muertos is committing significant resources to this operation. Visual confirmation on Roberto Diaz, Michael reports, monitoring high-definition cameras. Command vehicle, center position, tactical security detail. Thomas studies the cartel commander through his scope. Military bearing evident in his posture, tactical awareness shown in how he surveys the operation. This man brings combat experience to criminal enterprise. Havoc's ears suddenly shift. New movement pattern. Through thermal imaging, Thomas spots 4-man team breaking from main convoy, moving toward the ranch house. We've got problem, he warns through encrypted channel. Strike team approaching residence. Tactical formation. Combat spacing. Confirmed, Maria responds, tension controlled in her voice. They're moving directly toward Michael's position. Thomas makes immediate tactical decision. Havoc, intercept protocol. Michael, initiate security lockdown. The Belgian Malinois moves like liquid shadow, years of combat operations engaged as he advances toward the threat. Not charging recklessly, but moving with tactical precision, using terrain for concealment. Striker supporting intercept, Maria reports. Rebel maintaining perimeter security. Thomas tracks the cartel strike team's approach. Their movement shows clear intent. Not random patrol, but directed action toward the ranch house. This isn't product transport anymore. It's deliberate targeting of his family. This isn't about smuggling, he realizes, moving to support Havoc's position. They're sending message about using our property. Through his scope, he watches the cartel team deploy specialized equipment, breaching tools, tactical communications, professional weapons. They're preparing assault on the ranch house while the main convoy continues its transit operation. Security breach at West Perimeter, Michael reports. Voice controlled despite danger. They've cut power to main systems. Backup generators engaged, Maria confirms. All security protocols functioning on independent power. Thomas watches Havoc close distance with the strike team, combat training evident in every calculated movement. The Belgian Malinois doesn't attack recklessly, but establishes tactical advantage, waiting for perfect moment. Remember Baghdad, Thomas whispers into his comms. The code phrase activates specific tactical protocol. Havoc freezes in perfect concealment while the cartel team advances, unaware of the predator tracking them. Strike team 30 meters from house perimeter, Maria reports. Breaching equipment deployed. Thomas makes final tactical decision. Havoc, engage. Striker, support. Michael, defensive positions. What happens next demonstrates why military working dogs earn combat citations. Havoc moves like weaponized shadow, years of battlefield experience unleashed with surgical precision. Before the cartel team can react, their point man goes down, not killed but efficiently disabled. Contact front. The team leader's panic breaks tactical discipline. Their professional formation shatters as Stryker joins the assault from different angle. Coordinated attack protocols demonstrating advanced military training. Through his scope, Thomas watches the main convoy react to sudden chaos. Professional discipline shows in how they maintain operation while deploying response team. Diaz is visible in command vehicle, directing tactical adjustment with military precision. All units converge. The cartel commander's voice carries through intercepted communications. Secure the house. Demonstrate consequences. But Thomas and his dogs have changed tactical equation. What the cartel planned as simple intimidation has transformed into unexpected combat against trained opponents. Multiple teams converging on house position, Maria warns. They're committing significant force. Thomas moves through darkness toward his family, tactical experience guiding every step. The cartel wanted to send message by threatening his home. Instead, they've awakened combat veterans who never forgot their training. Havoc, defensive protocol, Charlie, he commands. The Belgian Malinois immediately transitions from offensive operations to protective formation, moving to secure Michael's position while Stryker continues containment operations. Through thermal imaging, Thomas watches cartel forces regroup. Their professional training shows in how quickly they adjust to unexpected resistance, maintaining tactical discipline despite initial shock. They're not retreating, Maria observes, monitoring their communications. Diaz is ordering full assault, making example of us. Let them come. Some warriors never stop protecting what matters. They just find different battles worth fighting. The real war for this borderland ranch is about to escalate. Chaos erupts across the ranch as Thomas watches cartel forces deploy through his thermal scope. Diaz has committed fully to the assault, tactical teams moving with military precision toward the house while the product convoy continues its transit operation. Havoc maintains protective position near Michael, while Rebel and Stryker coordinate containment operations from different sectors. 3 tactical teams converging, Maria reports through encrypted comms. Professional formation, combat spacing, coordinated advance. Thomas studies their movement pattern, combat memory engaging. Ramadi, 2016, insurgent forces using similar assault tactics against Marine positions. The cartel is following established military doctrine. They're treating this like combat operation, he notes, checking tactical displays showing enemy distribution. Diaz is committing significant resources. Through his scope, he watches the cartel commander directing operations from his vehicle. Military training evident in how he coordinates teams, establishes tactical priorities, maintains operational awareness. Multiple breach attempts at east and west approaches, Michael reports, voice steady despite the danger. They're deploying specialized equipment. Thomas makes immediate tactical decision. Initiate Protocol Omega. Show them what military dogs can really do. Protocol. Omega transforms the entire property into coordinated defensive grid. Specialized systems activate while the Belgian Malinois shift to full combat operations, no longer concealing their military training, but unleashing it with lethal precision. Contact front. Cartel communications erupt with sudden panic as Havoc engages their eastern team. The Belgian Malinois moves like weaponized shadow, years of battlefield experience deployed with surgical efficiency. West team compromise, Michael reports with controlled satisfaction. Stryker has neutralized their communications specialist. Thomas watches through thermal imaging as his dogs systematically dismantle the cartel's assault teams. Not random attacks, but coordinated tactical response. Targeting communications experts, disabling team leaders, eliminating specialized equipment operators. What the hell are these dogs? Diaz's voice carries genuine shock through intercepted channels. These aren't ranch animals. They're moving like special forces. Because they are, Thomas whispers, memory surfacing again. Kandahar, 2017. His K9 unit systematically neutralizing Taliban assault force, earning unit citation for unprecedented tactical coordination. Rebel has compromised south approach, Maria updates. Product convoy security team redirecting to support house assault. Through his scope, Thomas watches cartel forces attempt to regroup. Their professional training shows in how they adjust to unexpected resistance, maintaining tactical discipline despite mounting casualties. All units concentrate fire, Diaz commands through tactical channels. These are military working dogs. Use sonic weapons. The cartel's tactical adjustment demonstrates why Diaz earned his reputation. Specialized equipment deploys, generating frequencies designed to disable military K9 units, standard countermeasure used by professional forces. Havoc, Striker, Rebel, Protocol Echo, Thomas commands. Immediately, all three dogs shift tactical approach, implementing specialized training developed precisely for such countermeasures. How are they still operational? Panic edges into Diaz's voice as his counter K9 measures fail. These frequencies should disable military working dogs. Thomas allows himself grim satisfaction. 6 years developing advanced protocols beyond standard military training is paying dividends tonight. Multiple teams falling back, Michael reports, monitoring security feeds. They're abandoning specialized equipment, retreating to defensive positions. Through thermal imaging, Thomas watches cartel forces regroup around their vehicles. Professional discipline maintains operational integrity despite the shock of unexpected resistance. Diaz is reconfiguring tactical approach, Maria warns, interpreting their communications, shifting to heavy weapons. They're going to attempt overwhelming force. Combat memory surfaces again. Fallujah, 2015. Insurgents escalating to crew-served weapons when tactical teams failed to breach Marine positions. Havoc, Striker, Rebel, Protocol Sierra, Thomas commands. Immediately, all three Belgian Malinois adjust their tactical positioning, implementing specialized defensive measures developed for precisely this escalation. The ranch's night erupts with renewed chaos as cartel forces deploy heavy weapons. Professional operators establish firing positions while tactical teams provide security coverage. They're treating this like military operation, Maria observes, genuine concern edging her voice. Diaz is committing everything. Because his reputation is now at stake, Thomas responds, watching the cartel commander's growing frustration. This was supposed to be simple intimidation mission. Now it's become combat operation against unexpected resistance. Through his scope, he watches Havoc implement advanced tactical movement developed beyond standard military training. The Belgian Malinois doesn't just avoid enemy fire, he systematically eliminates firing positions through coordinated approach that standard operators would never anticipate. How is this possible? Diaz's voice carries genuine disbelief through intercepted communications. These are just ranch dogs. Stryker has neutralized their heavy weapons team, Michael reports with professional detachment that belies his 13 years. Rebel has disabled their communication coordination. Thomas watches the cartel's assault crumble through tactical displays. What began as coordinated military operation has devolved into disorganized resistance against enemies they never trained to confront. All units fall back, Diaz finally orders, professional discipline giving way to tactical necessity. Secure the product, abandon the assault. Through thermal imaging, Thomas tracks their withdrawal. Even in retreat, military training shows in how they maintain covering fire, establish security positions, protect critical assets. They're falling back to defensive perimeter, Maria confirms, monitoring their communications. Diaz is ordering complete withdrawal from the property. Thomas checks tactical displays showing enemy distribution. The cartel's assault force is in full retreat, abandoning equipment while maintaining minimum tactical integrity. Should we pursue? Michael asks, monitoring Stryker's position near compromised cartel vehicles. Negative, Thomas decides. Let them withdraw. We've gathered sufficient intelligence about their capabilities. Through his scope, he watches Diaz coordinating the retreat from his command vehicle. The cartel commander's body language shows professional frustration but tactical acceptance. He recognizes defeat and is preserving remaining assets. Product convoy is accelerating, Maria reports. They're abandoning planned route, moving directly south toward border crossing. Thomas allows himself a moment of tactical satisfaction. What the cartel planned as simple intimidation operation has transformed into major security compromise. The cost of tonight's failure will resonate through their organization. Havoc, Stryker, Rebel, Containment protocol, he commands. All three Belgian Malinois immediately transition from combat operations to security operations, establishing defensive perimeter while maintaining tactical awareness. They'll be back, Maria notes, watching thermal signatures retreat toward Mexico. Diaz can't accept this failure. His reputation depends on controlling this corridor. Thomas checks his dogs through specialized monitoring equipment. No injuries, optimal tactical condition, combat efficiency maintained. Their advanced training has proven its worth against professional military opposition. Let them come, he responds, watching Havoc coordinate with Stryker and Rebel to establish comprehensive security coverage. Next time, they'll bring everything they have. Make this personal. And we'll be ready, Michael confirms, understanding the escalation this night represents. Let them return. Some warriors never stop protecting what matters. They just find different battlefields worth defending. The real war for this borderland ranch is just beginning. Dawn reveals the battle's aftermath as Thomas surveys cartel equipment scattered across his property. Abandoned tactical gear, specialized weapons, communications devices, evidence of professional operation transformed into hasty retreat. Havoc moves beside him while Rebel and Stryker maintain perimeter patrol, their combat training evident in how they process the battlefield. Border Patrol's 20 minutes out, Maria reports through comms. DEA task forces accompanying them. They want full debrief on what happened here. Thomas examines abandoned counter K9 sonic equipment, memory surfacing. Mosul, 2016. Insurgents deploying similar technology against Marine working dogs, failing against specialized training protocols his unit had developed. Diaz miscalculated, he notes, checking shell casings that demonstrate Cartel's tactical discipline even in retreat. Assumed ranch defense would follow standard civilian response patterns. Through his scope, he studies terrain beyond the Mexican border. Increased activity visible. Vehicles gathering, personnel assembling, equipment being distributed. The cartel isn't retreating. They're reinforcing. Surveillance drone picked up major convoy assembling near Nogales, Michael reports, operating specialized equipment from their command center. Satellite imagery confirms heavy weapons, tactical vehicles, professional personnel. Thomas nods, unsurprised. Combat experience taught him that professional operators don't accept defeat. They escalate, adapt, overcome. Diaz is following established military doctrine. They underestimated us once, Maria observes, joining him at observation position. Won't happen again. Next assault will be comprehensive, coordinated, overwhelming. Havoc's ears suddenly shift, approaching vehicles. Through thermal imaging, Thomas identifies Border Patrol tactical unit approaching in professional formation. Agent Carter leads, former Army Ranger before joining border operations, someone who understands tactical reality. Mitchell, Carter greets, surveying abandoned cartel equipment with professional assessment. DEA estimates street value of what they left behind at $3 million. That's just equipment, not product. Thomas notes how the agent studies Havoc with knowing appreciation, one combat veteran recognizing another's capabilities. Those aren't just ranch dogs, Carter observes quietly. Belgian Malinois, military trained, but they operated beyond standard tactical parameters last night. DEA analysts are struggling to explain it. Special Operations Command K9 development program, Thomas confirms, watching Carter's expression change. Experimental training protocols before they went mainstream. My dogs were the prototypes. Understanding dawns in the agent's eyes. The Damascus program. Thought that was classified. Still is, Thomas responds, checking tactical displays showing increased cartel activity across border. But Diaz is about to make it public knowledge. Carter studies satellite imagery showing cartel buildup, his Ranger background evident in how quickly he assesses tactical implications. This isn't just about smuggling routes anymore, the agent acknowledges. Diaz can't afford this failure. His reputation within Los Muertos depends on controlling this corridor. And eliminating resistance that embarrassed him, Maria adds, professional intelligence analysis engaging. They'll come back with everything they have. Make example of us. Thomas watches Havoc coordinate with Rebel and Stryker, establishing comprehensive defensive perimeter. To untrained observers, they appear to be simple patrol dogs. Carter sees the truth. Military assets implementing advanced tactical protocols. We're establishing Border Patrol forward position 5 miles south, Carter offers. Can divert tactical team here within 30 minutes. Won't be soon enough, Thomas responds, memory surfacing again. Helmand Province, 2017. Taliban forces assembling similar strength before overwhelming Marine outpost. When Diaz comes, it will be comprehensive, coordinated strike designed to eliminate resistance before reinforcements arrive. Carter's expression acknowledges tactical reality. What's your defensive capability? Thomas gestures toward his dogs implementing patrol patterns invisible to untrained observers. 3 Belgian Malinois with special operations training, family with combat experience, ranch designed with tactical defense in mind. Against cartel force that satellite imagery suggests could include 50 operators with military-grade equipment. Carter's skepticism carries professional concern. We've faced worse odds in darker places, Thomas responds, checking specialized equipment concealed throughout his property. 6 years preparing defensive measures beyond standard security protocols. After Border Patrol departs, his family gathers in the command center, formerly their dining room, now transformed into tactical operations center with military-grade equipment. Diaz is bringing everything, Michael observes, monitoring surveillance feeds showing cartel forces assembling. At 13, his tactical assessment demonstrates training beyond his years. Former military personnel, specialized equipment, heavy weapons. Thomas reviews defensive preparations while Havoc maintains alert watch. Combat experience taught him to transform terrain into tactical advantage, principle applied throughout ranch design. They'll hit before midnight, he predicts, studying cartel movement patterns, multiple simultaneous assaults, coordinated breach attempts, overwhelming force. Maria checks tactical displays showing defensive preparations. Border Patrol's position won't respond quickly enough. We're on our own for the critical first 30 minutes. That's all we need, Thomas responds, checking specialized equipment integrated throughout the property. Equipment developed beyond standard security protocols, implementing lessons from combat operations in urban terrain. Through surveillance feeds, he watches Diaz personally inspecting assault teams. The cartel commander's military background shows in how he coordinates preparations, establishes tactical protocols, maintains operational security. He's treating this like military operation, Maria notes, professional intelligence background recognizing the patterns. Combined arms assault with specialized teams targeting specific objectives. Because that's exactly what it is, Thomas confirms. Memory surfacing again. Fallujah, 2015. Insurgent forces implementing similar assault protocols against Marine defensive positions. Diaz can't afford second failure. He's committing everything to ensure success. Havoc, Striker, Rebel. Defensive Protocol Alpha, he commands. Immediately, all 3 Belgian Malinois transition to advanced tactical operations, implementing specialized training developed precisely for such scenarios. The afternoon passes with methodical preparations. Thomas checks defensive positions while his family completes final security protocols. Combat experience transformed into civilian defense. Principles learned in war zones now protecting his ranch. Remember Mosul? He asks Havoc quietly. The Belgian Malinois' ears prick forward. He remembers. Urban combat against superior numbers, transforming defensive positions into tactical advantage. They'd earned combat citations demonstrating those capabilities. Through his scope, Thomas watches cartel forces complete final preparations, professional operators checking equipment, tactical teams establishing communication protocols, assault units reviewing objectives. They're coming with everything, Maria confirms, monitoring intercepted communications. Diaz has committed Los Muertos' entire tactical reserve. Failure isn't an option for him anymore. Last chance to evacuate, Thomas offers his family, though he knows their answer before asking. Border Patrol would escort you to secure location. Michael checks defensive systems with professional focus that belies his 13 years. This is our home. We defend it together. Maria's expression confirms their collective decision. Some battles you don't run from. Thomas watches night fall across the ranch, transforming familiar terrain into tactical battlefield. Through thermal imaging, he tracks cartel forces approaching border crossing, professional movement patterns, military formation, coordinated advance. Diaz is implementing textbook assault protocols. Remember Damascus, he tells his dogs as they verify final defensive positions. The Belgian Malinois shifts subtly. They remember. Special operations against superior forces, transforming tactical disadvantage into victory through specialized training and perfect coordination. Let them come. Some warriors never stop defending what matters. They just find different battles worth winning. The real war for this borderland ranch reaches its decisive moment. Midnight transforms the ranch into tactical war zone as Thomas tracks cartel forces through his thermal scope. 50-plus operators moving in military formation, assault teams maintaining professional spacing, specialized units deploying with coordinated precision. Diaz has committed everything to this operation. Multiple breach teams approaching perimeter, Maria reports through encrypted comms. Heavy weapons support, tactical drones providing overhead coverage, specialized units targeting specific objectives. Thomas studies their deployment pattern, combat memory engaging. Ramadi, 2016. Insurgent forces using identical assault formation against marine defensive positions. The cartel is implementing textbook military doctrine. Havoc, striker, rebel. Final positions, he commands quietly. The Belgian Malinois move with lethal purpose to predetermined defensive locations. Not random deployment, but carefully calculated tactical positioning designed to maximize their specialized capabilities. Enemy drones disabled, Michael confirms from Hardin Command Center. The specialized countermeasures Thomas installed years ago, proving their worth against cartel surveillance. They're operating blind in our defensive grid. Through thermal imaging, Thomas watches Diaz coordinate from mobile command vehicle. The cartel leader's military background evident in how he adjusts tactical approach when drone feed fails, implementing alternate protocols, maintaining operational momentum. First assault team breaching south fence, Maria updates. Standard tactical formation, professional equipment, coordinated movement. Thomas makes immediate decision. Rebel, engage protocol, Sierra. The Belgian Malinois acknowledges with subtle shift, combat training engaging as he moves like weaponized shadow toward the threat. Remember what happens next, Thomas whispers to Havoc. Just like Kandahar. The cartel's first assault team moves with professional confidence across ranch property. Their tactical discipline shows in perfect spacing, communications protocol, security coverage. Elite operators implementing military doctrine until rebel engages. Contact left. Panic fractures tactical discipline as the Belgian Malinois implements specialized training developed beyond standard military parameters. Not just attacking, but systematically dismantling their tactical formation. Targeting communications specialists first, then disabling team leader, finally eliminating heavy weapon support. What the hell was that? Diaz's voice carries genuine shock through intercepted channels. That's not standard K9 response pattern. Because these aren't standard dogs, Thomas whispers, watching thermal signatures of additional assault teams approaching from different angles. Diaz is implementing comprehensive tactical doctrine, multiple simultaneous breaches, overwhelming force, coordinated attack vectors. East and West teams crossing defensive perimeter, Maria reports. Specialized equipment, tactical spacing, professional movement. Thomas nods unsurprised. Striker, Havoc, engage assault pattern Delta. Both Belgian Malinois acknowledge with subtle shift, years of specialized training engaging as they move towards separate threats. Through his scope, Thomas watches cartel forces deploy sonic weapons designed to neutralize military working dogs. Standard tactical response against K9 units, demonstrating Diaz's professional preparation. They're using counter K9 frequencies, Michael reports, monitoring specialized sensors, military-grade disruption patterns. But Thomas and his dogs prepared for precisely this contingency. Advanced training protocols activate as Havoc and Striker adjust their tactical approach, implementing specialized techniques developed beyond standard military parameters. How are they still operational? Diaz's voice carries growing frustration through command channels. Those frequencies should disable any military working dog. Thomas allows himself momentary satisfaction. 6 years developing advanced protocols beyond standard training is proving decisive against professional military opposition. All teams converge on primary target, Diaz commands, desperation edging his professional discipline. Concentrate fire on the main house. Overwhelm their defensive position. The night erupts with coordinated assault as cartel forces implement their primary strategy. Heavy weapons deploy from prepared positions, while assault teams advance under covering fire. Textbook military operation executed with professional precision. Multiple teams converging, Maria warns, tension controlled in her voice. They're committing everything to this attack. Thomas makes tactical decision born from combat experience. Havoc, Striker, Rebel, execute Damascus Protocol. What happens next demonstrates why these particular dogs were selected for Special Operations Command's most classified training program. The Belgian Malinois don't just engage separate targets. They implement coordinated tactical response that systematically dismantles the cartel's entire assault formation. Havoc targets their command and control structure, eliminating communications experts with surgical precision. Striker neutralizes heavy weapons positions, moving like combat ghosts through defensive fire that never touches him. Rebel systematically isolates assault teams, transforming their coordinated attack into separate engagements where superior numbers become irrelevant. This is impossible. Professional discipline crumbles in Diaz's voice as he watches his military operation disintegrate. These are just dogs. No, Thomas responds quietly, engaging cartel operators who breach defensive perimeter. Combat muscle memory takes over, smooth targeting, controlled bursts, maximum effect. They're war dogs. Through thermal imaging, he watches Diaz attempting to restore tactical control. The cartel commander's military training shows in how he adjusts operational parameters, implements contingency protocols, maintains command presence despite mounting chaos. All units fall back to defensive positions. Diaz orders, professional discipline reasserting control. Regroup for coordinated counterattack. But Damascus Protocol continues unfolding across the battlefield. The Belgian Malinois don't pursue retreating forces. They systematically target remaining tactical assets, eliminating specialized equipment, neutralizing command vehicles, disabling communications infrastructure. They're not just attacking, Maria observes with professional appreciation. They're implementing comprehensive tactical response against entire cartel operation. Thomas nods, watching Havoc coordinate with Striker and Rebel to maintain operational momentum. That's what they were trained for in Damascus. Not just combat effectiveness, but strategic impact. Through his scope, he tracks Diaz's command vehicle attempting tactical withdrawal. The cartel leader's military background shows in how he implements professional retreat protocols, security coverage, organized withdrawal, asset protection. Diaz is attempting escape, Michael reports, monitoring thermal signatures. Heading for southern exit with security detail. Thomas makes final tactical decision. Havoc, priority target designated. Protocol Omega. The Belgian Malinois acknowledges with subtle shift before moving like weaponized precision toward Diaz's position, not charging recklessly, but implementing specialized infiltration tactics developed for high-value target acquisition. Security breach. Panic overwhelms professional discipline in Diaz's security team as Havoc systematically neutralizes their defensive formation. Years of specialized training demonstrated in how he eliminates resistance with surgical efficiency. This can't be happening, Diaz's voice carries genuine disbelief as his escape route collapses. They're just ranch dogs. No, Thomas responds, approaching the disabled command vehicle where Havoc has contained the cartel leader. They're combat veterans who never stop serving, just found different battles worth fighting. Border Patrol tactical teams arrive to discover the aftermath. Cartel assault force systematically dismantled, professional operators neutralized, military operation completely defeated by 3 dogs and their handler. Damascus program, Agent Carter whispers, understanding finally dawning as he surveys the battlefield. The rumors were true. Dogs capable of independent tactical response against military-grade opponents. Thomas checks his Belgian Malinois, pride evident as they maintain professional discipline even in victory. Some capabilities remain classified for good reason. Let others try to understand. Some warriors never stop protecting what matters. They just find different wars worth winning. The battle for this borderland ranch is over, but the Guardians remain vigilant. Dawn paints the battlefield in harsh light as federal agents process captured cartel operators. Through his thermal scope, Thomas counts 19 vehicles being cataloged, specialized equipment being documented, professional personnel being processed. Diaz's entire tactical force systematically dismantled by 3 dogs and their handler. Joint Task Force is inbound, Agent Carter reports, professionalism not quite concealing his amazement. DEA, Homeland Security, Pentagon observers, they all want first-hand assessment of what happened here. Havoc maintains alert watch while Rebel and Stryker continue perimeter patrol, combat discipline unwavering even after victory. Through security feeds, Thomas watches officials examining the battlefield with growing disbelief. Tactical formations neutralized, specialized equipment disabled, military operation completely defeated. They're calling it unprecedented, Carter continues. Professional cartel force eliminated by K9 units operating beyond known parameters. Department of Defense is particularly interested. Michael watches Havoc coordinate with his partners, their movements showing perfect tactical precision. How many operations, he asked quietly, how many missions like this did they really conduct? Still classified, Thomas studies abandoned cartel equipment, professional grade, military specification, tactical configuration. But Damascus made these 3 specifically legendary in certain circles. Through encrypted channels, he monitors federal response, special teams assembling, specialized units deploying, intelligence agencies converging. His dogs had exposed more than just a cartel operation. They'd revealed capabilities considered impossible. Found Diaz's tactical database. Maria joins them, satisfaction evident beneath professional demeanor. Complete dossiers on border ranches, surveillance reports, tactical assessments, operational plans. They were systematically targeting properties throughout the region. But started with us, Thomas notes, watching Havoc maintain vigilant patrol despite exhaustion. The Belgian Malinois understands that victory doesn't guarantee security. Lesson learned through multiple combat deployments. Through ranch cameras, he watches federal agents examining defensive positions. Their expressions show growing respect as they understand tactical sophistication required to defeat professional military operation. Pentagon's establishing new program, Carter reveals, lowering his voice. Advanced K9 tactical operations. They want your expertise developing military working dogs with Damascus program capabilities. Havoc's ears prick forward at approaching vehicles. More federal teams arriving, but the Belgian Malinois' posture remains relaxed. He distinguishes allies from threats. Combat experience applied to civilian context. Los Muertos is finished in this sector, Thomas observes as more arrests unfold. But cartels adapt. Different organizations, different tactics. They'll eventually test these borders again. That's why they want your involvement, Carter explains. All of you. The task force is establishing permanent regional training center, teaching handlers how to develop these capabilities in their K9 units. Thomas studies the agent's expression. Carter has seen enough to understand reality. These aren't just trained animals. They're tactical assets capable of dismantling professional military operations when properly developed. They're offering official position, Carter continues, special advisor to border tactical K9 operations, full resources, training facilities, opportunity to transform what your dogs demonstrated into regional capability. Through his scope, Thomas watches more federal teams deploy across his property. Their attention focuses particularly on Havoc, Rebel, and Stryker, recognizing combat veterans who prove military working dogs can achieve capabilities considered theoretically impossible. Got something else too. Carter hands him secure tablet. Joint Special Operations Command. They want your dog's expertise for their active tactical teams, not just training, but direct operational support against cartel leadership targets. The Belgian Malinois' tails wag once. Subtle acknowledgement. They've never stopped being warriors, just found different battlefields requiring their specialized capabilities. Remember Fallujah? Thomas whispers to his partners. Their posture shows perfect recall. not just of combat operations, but of training other handlers and dogs, creating tactical capabilities that saved countless lives in multiple conflict zones. Through ranch cameras, he watches federal response expand. Task force teams documenting evidence, analyzing tactical movements, studying defensive positions. They're struggling to comprehend how 3 dogs eliminated entire professional cartel operation. The program begins immediately, Carter explains, using your ranch as regional training center, teaching handlers throughout border region what military working dogs can really achieve. Thomas's secure phone buzzes with classified communications from military commands across 3 countries. They all want to understand how combat K9s dismantled professional cartel operation with military-grade tactical capabilities. What do you think, boys? He checks their tactical vests, now worn openly, no longer concealed. Ready to teach others what you can really do? The Belgian Malinois' posture radiates professional focus. Multiple combat deployments, countless successful operations, specialized training that transform military capabilities. But their eyes show something else now. Not just tactical awareness, but willingness to share their knowledge. Through morning light, Thomas watches federal teams process the battlefield. His dogs had done more than just protect his family. They demonstrated capabilities that would transform border security operations permanently. Time to make it official, he tells Carter. But we do it our way. Real combat integration, not just basic capability. Show the world what military working dogs can really achieve when properly developed. Havoc, Striker, and Rebel's tails tap against their legs. Mission accepted. Let others learn their methods. Some warriors never stop serving. They just find new ways to protect what matters. The war for this borderland ranch is over. But Thomas Mitchell and his combat K9s have found new purpose, not just in victory, but in creating the next generation of guardians. The real mission is just beginning. Maria joins him at the observation post, watching federal operations expand across their property. Think they'll understand what they're really seeing here? Thomas scratches behind Havoc's ears, feeling the subtle relaxation in his combat-ready partner. They understand the tactical implications, the strategic potential. What they may never fully comprehend is the bond that makes it possible. Through his scope, he watches the sunrise illuminate a border now permanently changed. What began as simple ranch defense has transformed into capability demonstration that will reshape security operations throughout the region. Some battles protect more than just the immediate battlefield, he tells his family as they gather on the porch. They change how the entire war unfolds. Michael studies the Belgian Malinois maintaining their vigilant patrol despite exhaustion and victory. Understanding dawns in his expression, recognition that these aren't just family protectors, but combat veterans whose capabilities transcend conventional limitations. The real strength was never just their training, Thomas explains, watching federal agents continue processing the battlefield. It was always the bond, the absolute trust between handler and dog that transforms specialized capability into something beyond military specification. Let others study their methods. Some warriors never stop serving. They just find different borders worth protecting.